Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. And in this one, I'd like to take a look at what is, in my opinion, the best budget deck to come out of the set Mega Evolution. So that, of course, is going to be Alakazam. Now, Alakazam has the somewhat unassuming powerful attack, Powerful Hand, which for a single Psychic Energy says place 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon for each card in your hand. So the simplest way of explaining this is it's basically just 20 damage for every card in your hand. And it has the ability Psychic Draw, which says when you evolve it from your hand, you get to draw 3 cards, which is also really handy because it just synergizes really well with the attack, as well as giving you a bit of draw power. And also Kadabra, when you play it from your hand to evolve one of your Abras, you get to draw 2 cards as well. So it's very easy to snowball really big hands with this deck, even with Iono in the format, which surprised me. You know, I really thought this deck would crumble once your opponent just starts spamming Iono. But because you're drawing so many cards through just evolving Kadabras, Alakazams, and also with Dudunsparce, Iono really doesn't matter all that much, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, really caught me off guard on just how good this deck was in the end. So yeah, Dudunsparce has the ability Runaway Draw as well, which says once in your turn, you may draw 3 cards. And if you drew any cards in this way, shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck, which is really handy because it means if your Alakazam has just been knocked out, for example, you can promote the Dunsparce and then shuffle it back in to draw 3 and then, promote whatever attacker that you need. So you basically always have a pivot. It also means that everything in this deck technically has either free retreat or retreat cost of 1 because, Dunsparce can always just send itself back into the deck so your opponent can't boss stall it, which also means you don't actually have to run any switches, which is really nice. So yeah, I do like that aspect. If you go up against decks that are playing Gravity Gemstone, then yeah, you might want to play a single copy of Air Balloon or something, but honestly, it hasn't really cropped up as a situation where I've necessarily needed it, so don't really feel switches are super necessary. Also, Dunsparce also has free retreat, which is also really nice, and it's why I play the 60 HP one, not the 70 HP one. Also got Shaymin in here, just to give you a bit of extra protection. I've seen a lot of the new Mega Lucario decks often try and power up energy to Pheasantipity, so they can snipe some of your weaker Pokemon, but honestly, Shaymin's quite handy just against general spread decks. Wellspring Ogerpon, for example, is a big one. But other than that, I honestly don't know if spread is going to be a major player in this format. And I could honestly see Shaymin just getting removed. I'm also playing the Stadium Artazon, which makes finding things like Shaymin really easy. But, while you're playing Artazon and the Dunsparce engine, you may as well play like a Shaymin. It's kind of worth it at that point, I think. Even if it doesn't protect you from Monkey Dory, which is still a bit of a shame. Also playing this Abra, not the 50 HP one. Honestly, I don't know if this ability has ever cropped up as being super useful for me. I often play it because I'm oh, this seems important. But honestly, unless you're playing maybe Mimikyu with Air Balloon or something, I'm not actually sure if this Abra is worth it. You could probably just play this Abra with Teleport Attack and actually do some poke damage if you wanted to. And maybe switch into something else. But I mean, this one also does 10 damage. So 6 and 2 3s really. I don't think it matters too much. Also, because Alakazam is just like Typhlosion, it only takes 1 energy to actually attack. It does mean you can play a fairly low count of energy, so I'm only playing 7. I've seen some lists play only 5 or 6, which I think feels a bit rough in the early game, especially if you want to just start attacking as fast as possible, which I'm playing a slightly more aggressive build, we'll talk about in just a second. But yeah, I think 7 energy is absolutely fine, really, because you don't want to be prizing too many, and then it's really awkward, and then you have to dedicate Night Stretchers just to retrieve energy. I want some more flexibility. But yeah, I am playing a slightly more aggressive build just because I'm running Rare Candy, and most Stage 2 decks nowadays just run TM Evolution and call it a day. But I do kind of miss Rare Candy Stage 2 decks. And I do think that this deck kind of struggles if you whiff TM Evolution, turn 1 going second. You play 4 Arven, you play TM Evolution. You could play Pokegear if you really wanted to as well. But, I just felt that some Rare Candies kind of help. And plus, you can still trigger the ability when you Rare Candy, which is really nice. So I do like that aspect a lot. The deck is also playing some other cards which are fairly cheap to get a hold of right now. Morty's Conviction, for example, is a support to a card that doesn't see a lot of play. You could play Iono or even the new Lieutenant Surge if you're feeling quite memey. But yeah, Morty's Conviction is quite nice. Just discard another card from your hand, which is a bit counterproductive. Then you get to draw a card for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So if you're against a Terra Box deck and they have a massive bench size of 8 Pokemon, you can just draw 8 cards, which is fantastic. So yeah, Morty's Conviction can be hilarious. But yeah, aside from that, there's nothing really too crazy. Like Lucky Helmet, it's a bit of a joke inclusion. Like you absolutely don't need to play Lucky Helmet, but I quite like it as a card. It's coming surprisingly useful sometimes. So I don't know. I like Lucky Helmet. It's a fun one to play. Also got Counter Catcher in here. Playing a lot of stadiums to Artazon to help get Dunsparce going and like to keep it going throughout the whole game. Also playing one Gravity Mountain just to like want to kill Dragapult and Charizard a bit quicker. Also playing Neutralization Zone. I wouldn't bother playing this stadium if I didn't have a load of other stadiums in the deck because it can be bumped quite easily. Like basically you just want to save this stadium card right until the end of the game, until like the last 3 or so turns really, like last 4 or so turns maybe. And then at that point, the stadiums will hopefully be under your control. Your opponent will have destroyed your stadiums. Then you can come in there and clean up with Neutralization Zone. So that's what that's there for, basically. It's really nice. Also, only running 1 Super Rod and 2 Night Stretcher. You could definitely make the argument to run maybe another Super Rod, just because like you do kind of deck out quite quickly, but because there is like a lot of 3-price Pokemon in the format right now for you to one-shot, hopefully, you should be able to take all 6 prizes before you deck out. Like sometimes you'll finish matches with only like 10 or so cards left in deck, but typically you've either won or you've lost, But I would say overall this deck has been really fun, like a lot of fun to try out on the ladder. It's been a lot better than I thought it was going to be as well, which is always nice to see with a single prize deck. It's really good for how cheap it is. I will say though, however, like of course, just like every other single prize deck right now, this one really struggles against like Munkidori, Frostlass stuff. So if you go up against Munkidori Gardevoir, I don't think this deck will hold up, basically. But aside from Munkidori, I think everything else has been pretty good. So yeah, let me know what you think about Abracadabra down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. So going into my opponent's second turn here, I don't think we've really had that bad of a setup. Like we've got 2 Kadabras down the board, we've got an Abra. We do have a Dunsparce for next turn. My opponent is playing a Munkidori Mega Absol deck, which is kind of so-so for us, I think, with a Mega Hydreigon, not Mega Hydreigon, sorry, Hydreigon EX, the Terra one, because like it's a bit so-so, right? Because Mega Absol, pretty good for us. It's kind of low HP, but Munkidori, very annoying. So we'll just have to see how this one goes, I think. So we have a lot of different options here. I think I'm going to start with a... Am I going to start with a Kadabra? I could start with a Dudunsparce, though, because I will have to Artazon out another Dunsparce anyway, so... Okay, that's fine. We could also Morty as well, if we really wanted to. I will Artazon one more Dunsparce out of the deck. That seems wise. And I will also... Yeah, I think I will just Kadabra, actually. Yeah, sounds good. Draw a bunch of cards. So that's really good for us. We did have to go first, but honestly, looking back, I don't think going first was really that bad for us. Because it meant that we could get the initial, like, evolution up, so... Okay, so we do have a load of cards now. Probably just want to keep evolving, to be honest. Just keep going. Draw even more cards, please. How many cards is that? 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 900, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200, 220, 240, 260, 280. I guess 2 more. 2 more is fine. Well, it won't be 2 more, will it? Because I'll be drawing them, but yeah, that's fine. Retreat. And then go into here. And I think that's enough. I could probably get away with playing a Lucky Helmet, but I'll just Powerful Hand. I think this is 300. Yeah, it was 300. Never mind. Okay, that's kind of annoying. I wish I'd attached Lucky Helmet now. But yeah, not bad for a turn 3, Take 3 prize cards. My opponent just concedes. Right, okay. Now I've got to find another match to record.